Hey, house guests. Welcome to today's BBCan 10 updates and spoilers. Hope you're all having a great Wednesday so far. Our house guests of the day are Flower Power Resists and Jeff and Amy Jo White. Thank you both so much for the support. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate it so much. So thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. It's only $1 for a holla. And I also want to thank yesterday's super chatters because that is another fantastic way to support our channel and our work. So Jefferson Tucker and Cal Manna, thank you both so much for your super chats yesterday. Yay! All right. Let's talk about what's going on. So when we left off yesterday, Betty and Herman are up on the block. It's been a roller coaster ride. We know that Marty's target is Herman. And I just want to be clear, this move was really orchestrated by Kevin and Helena this week, behind the scenes, pulling the strings, making it happen. Maybe not so much like super behind the scenes because Kevin and Helena have definitely been exposed this week that they're working closely with Marty. A lot of that is Marty's fault because he has a big mouth. But yeah, I mean, they could take a lot of the credit if Herman goes this week. So there was initially a lot of support, or at least nonchalance, about Herman going up on the block, and it seemed like it would be a landslide for Herman to go. But then Herman went to work on his campaign after the power veto ceremony, and he was really pushing to people that keeping him this week would be like an FU to Marty, going against his wishes. And Herman keeps saying, like, I'm going to take Marty out. I'm going to make his life a living hell. Like, keep me around and I'll get the job done. So that really got people jazzed up about keeping Herman. They want to get back at Marty. So it seemed like the vote was flipping to keep Herman. And it seemed like Moose, Summer, Gino, and JC Lynn were all on board, and you only need 4 votes this week. So then a little while later, Summer, Gino, and JC Lynn were starting to wonder, is keeping Herman really good for our games? Or are we just trying to get back at Marty here? Are we making like a revenge decision instead of a game decision? Yeah. Also, pair that with Betty and Kevin both putting in work campaigning. You could also add to that Moose campaigning for Herman, which may have actually worked against Herman because people were like, wow, Moose and Herman are super tight. They're nervous about those two working together closely because they're both really good at competitions and they're strong players. So they're like, ugh, don't know about that one. So the vote seemed pretty up in the air by the end of yesterday's spoiler. Okay. So Helena and Josh were chatting in the beach room yesterday, and Josh says, this is going to be a really hard week. Harder than I initially thought. And Helena agrees. She says, Herman, he's campaigning really hard. And Moose is also campaigning for him. It's tough. They're not really sure at that point how Gino and JC Lynn are going to be voting this week. Helena thinks, though, that JC Lynn is leaning towards evicting Herman. But there's just this thought that's eating away at her. Helena is nervous that Moose, Summer, JC Lynn, and Gino could get together and flip the vote and keep Herman, which is what it was looking like at first, right? But Josh says, I got some tricks up my sleeve. They're dirty tricks, though. Oh? He says they could get me into some trouble. What are they? We'll get there in a minute. But a few minutes later, Kevin joins them. And he says, we got to keep fighting. We got to get Herman out of here. We're so close. We got to seal the deal. So Josh brings up the dirty ammunition that he has again. And he says, when Herman pitched to me, he said, of course, his target for next week is Marty. But then after that, he said his next target would be the showmans. Dun, dun, dun. So, I mean, if you bring that to the showmans, they're not going to be happy to hear that. So Kevin says, wow, so Herman doesn't even think enough of us to target us. Kevin seems insulted that Herman doesn't see him as more of a threat. But Kevin says, "Oh yeah, you should definitely bring this information to the showmance on Wednesday night. Don't do it too early. You want to wait a little bit so that there's not enough time for this to get back to Herman, and then it blows up into this whole thing. But if you tell this information to the showmans, we can also build some trust with them." Kevin says, "Let's just throw Herman to the wolves, right? Let's get it done." He says, "We already got rid of the single mom last week. Is this any worse than that? No." So Kevin asks, what should we do next week? We already have this week figured out. What are we going to do next week? So Josh says, we really need to try and create some stability and gain some trust with other people. And to do that, we can take out Marty. A lot of people are looking at Marty as a target for next week. But Kevin's like, don't you think that Marty could be a big shield for us, though? I'm sorry. I can't deal with another week of Marty. Let's just get him out here. Josh made a face that seemed like he was thinking the same thing. But Josh says Marty is just so volatile. He almost blew up everything this week. And yeah, Helena's not happy that Marty has been telling everyone that she and Kevin are his two closest allies. That's really awkward, right? They don't need that information out there that they have Marty's ear. So Helena says, let's just stay focused on this week. We got to make sure that Herman goes. All right. Meanwhile, Betty is campaigning to JC Lynn in the purple bedroom. And Betty says, oh, we could be working together and no one would know it. And she's talking about a 4-person situation with Betty, JC Lynn, Gino, and Josh. And this is something that they've been kind of kicking around a little bit. And JC Lynn says, yeah, Betty, I want you to stay. I have been pitching to Gino that I want us to set up a deal or at least a ceasefire, with you and Josh. It would be two duos working together. No one would suspect it. So Betty says, yeah, I would love that. This could be iconic. I don't know about iconic, but she says she's already talked to Josh about it too, and he is on board with this 4. So JC Lynn says again that she's pitching really hard for Betty to Gino, and she says that Gino is leaning towards keeping Betty as well. So they agree, it could be awesome if they work together. They could control the votes moving forward because this week you only need 4 votes to evict. Next week, you would need 3 to tie, and then after that, it just gets smaller and smaller. So if the 4 of them are working together, they could run things. And they think that this is a great time for their group to get together because since everything has been blown up in the last few weeks, they don't really have any loyalty to anyone else right now. So they feel like this is a great time to get their group together. So JC Lynn says Moose pitching so hard for Herman this week just shows how close they are. And that makes her nervous. Betty says, yeah, if I go, Moose and Herman, as close as they are, then they can pull in Summer and maybe even Josh. You don't want that happening. So JC Lynn says, yeah, we cannot let the guys run this house. She knows that Herman would eventually push Gino to get rid of her, stick with the bros at the end. So Betty agrees and she says, yeah, this boys club bullshit needs to be broken up. So they want to talk again tomorrow with Gino and Josh and solidify working together as a 4. But at that point, it's looking like JC Lynn and Gino definitely leaning towards keeping Betty. Okay. So a little later, Summer and JC Lynn are chatting in the red bedroom. This update is very JC Lynn heavy, which is unusual for this season. But anyway, Summer says she's undecided about her vote. But since they are trying to get the Honey Bunch back together, they should probably all vote the same way, right? And just a reminder, the Honey Bunch is Summer, JC Lynn, Gino, and Josh. So another alliance with JC Lynn, Gino, and Josh. Just one person different, Summer. So JC Lynn says, I know this is a tough week for you, right? You're close to both nominees, but where is your head at right now? What are you thinking? So Summer admits she is leaning towards keeping Betty at this point. We saw her kind of flip-flopping back and forth, but now she's saying Betty. She says, yeah, keeping Herman would help us take out Marty next week, of course. But then Herman would have to go after that, right? It's not beneficial to have Herman around anymore once Marty's gone. Um, and she says another thing to think about, Herman surviving this backdoor attempt would also be a huge thing on his resume. And that's something that we need to think about, right? It's dangerous to keep Herman around later and later into the game. So JC Lynn brings up another point in Betty's favor. Betty has been saying how she wants a woman to win this season. She will vote for a woman in the final two, no matter who they're up against. So, on the other hand, JC Lynn says Herman is all about the boys' club, and it seems like Herman only views the women as numbers for him. And this is something that Summer agrees with. Ah! So JC Lynn also says if Betty goes, Josh might gravitate towards Moose and Herman instead of us. And that's not good because we're trying to make this honey bunch thing happen. So they both agree. They are leaning more towards keeping Betty. And this is interesting. They also mention, oh, it sucks for Herman that he's so close to making it to jury, but he's just going to miss it. So the house guests still don't know that the person who's evicted this week, tomorrow, will be the first juror. So they better watch what they say in those goodbye messages because they're going to be talking to the first juror. But yeah, they still don't realize that. So I think that's going to be a surprise for them when Arissa announces it tomorrow. But anyway, later, Herman is chatting with Gino and JC Lynn in the storage room. And Herman is talking again about how Marty told him that he put Herman up on the block because Herman had said if he won HOH, he would put Helena and Kevin up. And Marty was like, those are my closest allies. You can't be talking about them like that. So Herman's like, this is something to think about. You know, Marty, Helena, and Kevin working really closely together. So Herman says for the votes this week, he's really focusing on campaigning to Gino and JC Lynn, Josh, and Moose, right? And he says Summer is kind of flaky. He can't really trust that he's going to have her vote. Wait until you find out about Josh. Am I right, though? So Herman says if Summer doesn't vote to save me this week, that tie is severed. You know, I shouldn't have to beg this hard for her vote. Really? Because you were like just saying before that you'd be ready to cut Summer loose until you were in trouble and needed her vote. But okay. So he says, I thought we were close. This is like a slap in the face. You know, he's expecting her to reward his loyalty because he hasn't effed her over once. But like, Summer is close to Betty too. Betty hasn't screwed her over. So why does Herman feel so entitled to Summer's vote? It's really weird. But yeah, Herman says if he's still here next week, he's going to make Marty's life a living hell. He also brings up that he would be a great person to have in the jury for Gino and JC Lynn. Well, you'd be in the jury anyway, so don't worry about it. But he says Betty would not be a vote for you guys in any scenario. Little does he know that Betty's trying to set up a legit Final Four with Gino and JC Lynn. So Herman also mentions he's willing to go up as a pawn next week next to Marty to help get rid of him. And he says once Marty is gone, I'm not even sure that I would be concerned with targeting Kevin and Helena anymore because he feels like once Marty's gone, that little trio is going to be pretty broken. I just have to say, like, with him saying this to Gino and JC Lynn, if Josh does decide to spill that info that Herman is targeting the showmance next after Marty, like this information is just kind of like confirming that and it's all working together. But anyway, he brings up again, if Summer doesn't vote for him to stay, he's going to take it personally and she will become one of his new targets. Damn. Okay, so Herman is saying he feels pretty confident that he can get the votes. Good luck with that. And Gino and JC Lynn ask Herman to check in with them again once he talks to other people and kind of like gets more confirmation on their votes. Let us know what votes you have. So Herman shares he will not be pitching to Kevin and Helena for their votes. He's like, I know how close they are with Marty. They're not going to go against him. It's also like a pride thing. And he says, I'm not going to grovel. I don't need them. Okay. Do I think they're going to flip? No. But do I think it's crazy to not pitch to everybody? Yeah, a little bit. I think Betty is also not even really pitching to Moose because she's afraid that he's going to take things that she's saying and use it against her. So like, okay, sure. But anyway, Herman also spills that he thinks that Helena was the other vote for Gino to go, and he is correct. Okay, so we'll see what they do with that information. Okay, later, Herman and Summer are chatting outside, and Herman is asking, "Are you still going to keep your vote under wraps until it's time to vote?" Because Summer was saying she was going to do that, and Summer says, "Yeah, I hope you don't feel some type of way about it." I think he does. Herman says, if you tell me about your vote ahead of time, that could still save our relationship, friendship, whatever, outside of the house. And he's like, if it's not me that you're keeping, just let me know. He has a feeling that she's already made up her mind. So after a while, Summer finally admits she wants to keep Betty. She says, that's what my heart and my gut are both telling me. And it's not that you haven't been loyal to me. I know you're rocking with me, but I feel like Betty has really been rocking with me, like more rocking with me. So Herman says, that's fair, I guess. He says, Betty won't save you from anything. He says he's still going to try and pitch to Summer again tomorrow. I don't know. This flip seems pretty dead to me. It seems it's not looking good for Herman. But by the end of last night, it seemed like the votes would be 6-1 for him to go, with Moose being the one. So today, Betty still has the votes as of right now. Herman thinks that he has 3 with Moose, Gino, and JC Lynn. He does not have the showmance. But he thinks he does. So he's planning to really focus his campaigning on Josh today, put the pressure on him because he thinks that Josh will be vote number 4. It seems like Josh is really putting his eggs in the Betty basket right now, though. And even though he has a final 2 deal with Herman, he knows that he's not a priority for Herman. So I don't see Josh flipping his vote for Herman to stay. But in other news, almost everyone is trying to work with the showmance right now. Oh my God. So we talked about the Honey Bunch with the showmance, Summer and Josh. We talked about this final 4 that's forming with the showmance, Betty and Josh. And there's also Kevin and Helena who want to try and form a final 4 with the showmance. That's a lot. It seems like the final 4 with Betty and Josh is the showmance's priority. They seem really excited about working with them and like they actually want to do that. So we'll see where that goes. I just gotta say, y'all are playing a very dangerous game, leaving this showmance in the house. I mean, really. I could just see it now. Like the showmance are gonna be in the end together because nobody is planning on breaking them up right now. It's pretty insane. But the eviction is tomorrow, and again, as of now, it looks like Herman will be leaving by a vote of 6-1, unless something changes. I don't know. We'll see if Herman can stir anything up the last minute, but not looking great for him. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments. I want to thank our super chatters today. Travell K, thank you so much. And Travell says, much love. Much love to you. Come on in. Yeah,
Hi.
yeah.
I was just fixing your Kindle.
Oh, is it working now?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. I thought my Kindle was dead. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jefferson Tucker, thank you so much for the super chat. He says the room makeover mom, aka oh hi, looks fabulous. Inspired to redo my office. Nice.
Oh.
She really did a fabulous job with it.
Why, thank
It
you.
feels like we're in a whole different house.
It feels like it's too good for us.
I can't even imagine like what the old living room used to be like now that we have
I
the
could
new
show you
luxurious
video.
one. I know, right? There's plenty of video evidence, but she really did a fantastic job with it. And I hope
Thank you.
your office redo turns out just as good.
I hope it's even better.
Yeah. So thank you all again so much for being here. There is an episode tonight at 7, so make sure you check it out. Yeah. And we'll see you later for the recap.
Yeah.
I just want to answer BB's question real quick. BBean said, "Is the showmance Holly Allen Jackson Mickey 2.0?" I don't think so because I don't know how long Gino and JC Lynn would last in the outside world, but I don't see like the mental abuse aspect there,
Right.
which was like really gross with Jackson and Holly. Also,
I think they're for real, but I don't think they're like crazy for each other. You know
doesn't
what I
seem
mean?
like it.
They're like Mr. and Miss right now.
Yeah, but as far as like how they are in the game, I could totally see Gino and JC Lynn making it all the way to the end
Mhm.
together because they are both strong competitors. And nobody seems like very concerned with splitting them up right now. So it's possible for sure. But anyway, see you all later for the recap.
Oh.
Yeah. So until next time, much love. Bye. Bye.